Good morning, Lagos, and thanks for staying tuned here on Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. I'm Ayo Myresi,
And I am Valentine Ohu. Good morning.
and joining us this morning is the one, the only with the purple fingertips, Tega Supreme.
Wow, fingertips.
The one thing Lakumi did well.
Yeah.
Good morning, Lagos.
Morning, Tega. How are you doing today?
I'll be fine eventually.
That's good. All right. So, Tega is here. It's time for us to go into sports. But before we do that, let's let you know how you can get involved in the conversation today. So, on Twitter, we're at Smooth981FM. Use the hashtag Lockerroom981.
All right, and you can send us messages on WhatsApp 0809 0981. We're streaming live on YouTube, so type Smooth 981 FM Lagos in the search box. We'll pop right up. Hit the subscribe button and watch.
Okay, let's go straight in. So let's dunk in. So Nigeria's the Tigress beat Senegal to win fourth AfroBasket title. The Nigeria women national basketball team, the Tigress, on Sunday defeated hosts Senegal in the final of the FIBA Women's AfroBasket to win the fourth continental title. In a keenly contested final match played yesterday at the magnificent Dakar Arena, which had as much as 15,000 fans watching, the Nigerian women beat host Senegal 60-55 to win back-to-back continental titles.
Okay, first of all, I must say Senegal, that was a fantastic arena. We need stuff like that in Nigeria. It is beautiful. Well managed, well thought out. You can use it for other indoor sports. It's amazing. Then Senegalese, thank you very much for packing out the arena. 15,000 capacity, 15,000 filled up seats. And that sets the table for the intimidation that was for the Tigress. I mean, all through the tournament, they've gone into different games and dominated. I mean, consecutively, rebounds, free throws, shooting. On the day that it mattered, everything that could go wrong went wrong for the Tigresses. Like they were shooting poorly. Shooting poorly as compared to the rest of the tournament, and even when they got free throws, they were shooting at 50% or thereabout. Defense wasn't so good. It was a struggle, and you could tell. Even Ezine Kalu, that eventually became tournament MVP, which is well deserved. She played every game in a fantastic way until the finals. So even she was tournament MVP, but she struggled in the finals. So the atmosphere was so tense, and I think it put the girls under pressure, under a different level of pressure. And I think for the first time they recognized that we are the away team. We are not at home.
I mean,
think about it. We are not at home. 8 hours before the game itself, people started coming into the arena, and they let the Nigerians know that we are not Nigerians. So in case you are confused, because they were painted, dressed up in Senegalese outfit, they just let the Nigerians know that, look, you are not at home, so don't get comfortable. I'm talking 8 hours before the game even started. So the intimidation was set, but at the end of the day, the girls overcame this. It was a tough struggle, but they won. They defended their title. Good to see. And now to the bad part of the story.
Please, fire on.
The Nigerian Basketball Federation. Sorry, the Sports Ministry. Again, I understand where this is going. In fact, I have to go to the presidency, because it's not a question of the sports ministry. Ministers haven't been sworn in, so I don't even know who to hold accountable. So we start with the presidency. You're sending teams out, and this is not just the Tigress. The Tigers are also out training for the World Cup that is upcoming, and you have a contingent of Nigerian athletes in Rabat, Morocco, and you haven't released funds. How are these people supposed to survive? It's absolutely unforgivable, and this is from reports I've heard. It was submitted that these different events were going to happen this year. So release the funds early. Nobody's saying you have to wait for elections. I mean, the system has to keep running regardless of who is in charge or who is not in charge. But you're sending out a team, people's children. You will never do that to your own children. Send out people's children from all over the world on no budget. It's unacceptable. And so, yes, I'm calling out the presidency because I have no sports minister to call out. This is your failure. This is your administration's failure. You need to sort it out.
All right, Russia's Daniil Medvedev and American Madison Keys recorded straight set victories to win the men's and women's Cincinnati Masters titles in Ohio. Medvedev, who defeated world number one Novak Djokovic in the semifinal, beat Belgium's David Goffin 7-6, 7-3, 6-4 to win his first ATP Masters 1000 title. Keys beat two-time Grand Slam winner Svetlana Kuchesova 7-5, 7-6, 7-5 to win a second title of the season. In her first hard court final since finishing as runner-up at the 2017 US Open, the American twice recovered from 5-3 down to take the victory.
Yeah, Madison Keys just being comfortable at home and for once getting the job done in a Masters final. But hey, the final is a final, I guess. So I'll applaud her. What it is again with women's tennis, I guess it's really a wild card. Through a dart, anybody can win, and it gets to a final like this, and Kuznetsova looked like she was going to take it. You have to remember, Kuznetsova is not just a two-time champion here; she's a French Open champion, so she's won a Grand Slam. She knows how to finish, but for some reason yesterday she was all shaky. Actually, again, crowd intimidation can work, but she was. I mean, when it came to she led 5-3 first set, serve out the set, and you are one leg to putting your hand on that trophy. She didn't do that. Madison Keys came back, took the first set, took the second set, and when it comes to the best of three, I think it's easier because once you lose the first set, it's a little harder to get back in the game. Yes, I've seen some people try to take it to the decider, but most in general, that first set determines what happens the rest of it. But for Medvedev, I have to applaud him. This is 3 tournaments he's gone into the final match of the tournament. Washington Open, he played the final, lost to Nick Kyrgios. Montreal, he played the final, lost to Nadal. And then the week after, he's coming to Cincinnati and played another final. It would have been unrighteous for him to lose to David Goffin. I think I cannot take it. But congratulations to him. Maybe his coach will eventually let him sleep because he's been complaining that he's played too many matches and the coach is not letting him rest. But eventually he's won his first Cincinnati Masters, and it tells me for a player to be able to go deep into a tournament week after week, that maybe he would have the stamina and the focus to push in a Grand Slam that is usually 2 weeks. And because this is where the struggle is for players that have not yet won the Grand Slam, is playing over 2 weeks consistently with the same intensity. So him being able to go into back-to-back finals, for me, says that he's ready to push. So he's gotten to world number 5 now. The first thing he did was break into world number 10, then played 3 finals, and now he's world number 5. So you never know what could happen at the US Open, but I say he's ready.
Oh, fantastic. It's good to break that monopoly between Djokovic, Nadal and Federer.
To try to break the monopoly.
I knew you were going to say that. It's not possible. Let's go on to some football news. So Zidane indicates Bale will stay after Madrid puts 3 past Celta. All right. So Zinedine Zidane indicated Gareth Bale will stay at Real Madrid after the Welshman led the way in a 3-1 victory over Celta Vigo on Saturday. So Bale was back in the team and back in form at Balados, with Zidane's eagerness to sell him this summer perhaps fresh in his mind as he teed up Karim Benzema's opening goal. After the match, Zidane said he believes Bale will now stay, with the Spanish transfer window closing on September 2.
Yes, so this is a turnaround that was quite unexpected, but maybe the pressure of, I don't know what it was, if Gareth Bale was auditioning to be bought before the window was closed, or the coach has put so much pressure because he played a totally different game on Saturday. It was a monster display. And you could tell he was inspired by something. What it was, I don't know. But he did come out of his shell, played like the player that Perez in his dreams imagined would take over from Cristiano Ronaldo. The question is, how consistent can he be playing in that form, and how fit can his body be? Because injuries is another problem with Gareth Bale. But what it is that Real Madrid did start on the front foot, despite Luka Modric being the hero and the villain, scoring and picking up a red card. They still came out with 3 points, and the game could have turned on its head when it was 2-1, and it looked like Celta Vigo was going to had gotten the equalizer. It could have gone maybe downhill from there for Real Madrid, but it didn't. And at the end of the day, what happens is that when you go to tough matches like this, it's getting the results, not necessarily how well you played, that counts. And well, they played well for at least 75 minutes. And then they got the results, and that's what's important. It's different from some other teams I know that are in relegation zone, but we'll talk about them later.
Bring on the shade. Now, Kevin De Bruyne admitted he was confused by the handball rules after Manchester City were denied a dramatic late winner against Tottenham by VAR. It is what it is. The Belgians set up VAR. If they want to make football better, they should make it. They should have it. But I think the rules should be clear. If the ball had touched somebody of Tottenham's arm, it's not a penalty. But if it had touched our arm, it is not allowed. It should go both ways in something like that. I do not understand that as a player. It makes it really confusing.
Okay, I totally agree here, but I'm going to try to explain to other people that I didn't see. So the ball comes, the new handball rule is that whether it's a deliberate handball or it is an accidental handball, as long as the hand is not in a natural position, not down to the body, if the ball brushes off the hand and it leads to a goal, the goal will be disallowed because it's a foul, which is a crazy twist for IFAB to have put on the handball rule. The handball rule was already confusing prior to this new change, and so they claimed that they were trying to make the handball rule a little clearer, but they just made it even worse. So that ball did come off, did touch Laporte in the hand. And I don't even think it didn't even touch him enough to deflect it from where it was going before, because it was going in that direction. Here's what's tricky, and I totally agree with Kevin De Bruyne. That ball also touched the defender's hand. But why is it not called a penalty or a foul? Nothing. So for me, the rule is the one that was in question. VAR. But where I would blame VAR, which is why I say English officiating is the poorest I've seen in my life, is that on the other end, there was a penalty in the first half that should have been given against Tottenham. I mean, Alderweireld was all over. I think it was Laporte, like a winter jacket. It was so horrible, and VAR used less than a minute to review it and moved on with the game. Then Manchester City scores a goal and they celebrate the goal. They come back and VAR is still reviewing. I'm thinking, if there's a penalty shot there, the least you can do is look at it from all angles. Because I saw it the first time that was a penalty. He was draped all over him, and then you didn't review it. You move on. So if you're not, or this rubbish about clear and obvious error by the referee, if he had called that penalty, VAR would have agreed with him. He didn't call it, then VAR doesn't review it. So VAR really will not help English officiating.
I think already before this season, they already said it was going
they've already told us they're going, but they shouldn't use that to continue the incompetence. 2 penalty shouts that I saw that wasn't reviewed the way it should have been reviewed. I mean, they just had a quick glance and said nothing doing, and then they score a goal, and then you take your time. We're done.
We're done.
We'll have to take a break though. You're listening to the Locker Room here on Smooth 98.1. Excuse me, whose phone is on this table? Is there any phone there?
No.
Guys, is there any phone there?
Is that phone?
Which phone is vibrating now?
Whose phone just vibrating now?
Well, check the office phone now.
No, it's not. None of them. None of them.
Hope someone didn't forget their phone in one of the drawers.
It's so loud, boom, boom, and it's coming. But this is the first time during the show it's happening.
Are you sure it's not this phone that's vibrating? Messy.
Okay, we're back.
check.
I think it is.
If it's on vibration, why won't it affect the table? It's stand not on table.
Is it on vibrate? Mercy, you just sleep. Your eyes are so.
Yeah, is it on vibration?
Okay, we're coming back now. Mike's alive. Studio. Mike is on. Studio is live. Yes, indeed, it's Smooth 98.1. Still the locker room here where we talk sports. And Tega Supreme is with us in the studio. Earlier on, we talked about the success of the Tigers team at the FIBA tournament. And Benga Akumu has something to say about that. He said, we gather the Tigers team that just won a tournament are broke and can't pay hotel bills. Nigeria just drains one patriotism.
Very interesting. Keep your messages coming into WhatsApp 0809 444 981. Go to our next story.
Our next story here is from Barcelona. Now, Barcelona confirmed Suarez suffered leg injury in opener. So, striker Luis Suarez suffered a right leg injury during his side's defeat at Atletico Bilbao in Friday's La Liga opener. The Spanish champions have confirmed. Barcelona did not reveal how long Suarez would be out of action for, saying on Saturday he had a right leg injury and that his availability depended on his recovery. The Uruguayan was replaced in the central striker's role by new signing Antoine Griezmann, but Bilbao veteran Ariz stole the show by coming off the bench and snatching a 1-0 win with a spectacular scissor kick.
And it was an incredible one. Think about it. The crowd trying to call you and is chanting your name for you to come on. You eventually come on. Adures should be somebody's grandfather. Well, football age grandfather. The crowd is chanting your name, you come on, and in the 9 minutes of the game, you do an overhead kick, results in the only goal of the game, the winner, end of discussion. Beautiful ending to the story. For Barcelona, everything that I have said that Valverde can never do, he revealed it on the day. Cannot win without Messi. Does not have plan A, B, or C. Has zero tactics. Very poor. Will not make the changes that are required. So you're looking at and Barcelona saying this may be a long season. I've said it before. Sack Valverde. Remove Bartomeu as president, and in fact, all your problems are solved. It's that simple. But you're here trying to sell Coutinho, sell Malcolm, and the problem is not necessarily the players, but the selection and the style of play. And it's just not working for them to get results. So that they need to sort out. But they were the ones I was talking about. I forgot that they've moved up from the relegation zone. They were 18th on Saturday, but some goal difference results now move them up to 16th. So yes, I know it's just one. Is the first round of matches, but there's no planet in which Barcelona should be 16th on their table, even after the first day.
No planet.
No planet. So
except the planet where Messi doesn't exist.
It's just poor, and it's going to, and this laborious play and victory is going to be a thing for Barcelona as long as Valverde is there, because the fact is he's birth of ideas. He doesn't know what to do, and people know exactly. I've read him over 2 seasons. He needed to have gone this season, but the fact that the presidency and the board felt that they should keep him is their struggle. They'll be all right. They're all making their money, so I don't know why I'm crying too much. Yeah.
Frank Lampard, Frank Lampard believes tiredness from Wednesday's Super Cup did play a part in Chelsea's drop in performance in the second half of their 1-1 draw with Leicester on Super Sunday. In his words, he says, I hate the tiredness excuse, but it has to be a factor in the second half. I saw Liverpool play yesterday, and I know it would have been tough for them. 120 minutes, flights back the next day, up till 5 in the morning. So I think it did have an impact on us late in the game. But again, I think we're good enough to take that factor out and be better on the ball. I feel for the players a bit on that one, but still, I don't want to use it as an overriding excuse.
So I'm going to hold you to that second part. That is not an excuse. That's the one I'm going to listen to, because that maybe that was the reason that you know of. That's not the reason I saw on the pitch. Yes, there was a problem with game management, but the only goal that Chelsea did score, was a result of an error. And yes, goals are scored through errors, but they didn't create anything, in my opinion, that was threatening enough to get them more goals on the score sheet. And that's where the problem is. And we can cry about, you know, Chelsea's lack of transfer, lack of activity in the transfer market, and I totally understand with you. But in a game where, for at least for the first 45 minutes, you had the upper hand most of the time, it was really the upper hand in the midfield, and as opposed to creating anything. And I'm sorry, if Tammy Abraham's focus is just totally wrong. His focus is to try and silence the haters when his focus should be how to become a better footballer. I don't know why you are like why people say, oh, he scored a goal and silenced the haters. There's nobody that hates you. If you come on a public screen and you do certain things, people will judge you. They either judge you as excellent or judge you poorly. They don't hate you. They don't even know you from Adam. So don't think that every time somebody is questioning, you know, your competence or expertise, hey, he's a hater. It's not. He's not. He's watching TV. He paid money to watch TV, or he paid money to come and watch a match, and you have not delivered on what he paid for. He's going to question it. So Tammy Abraham should focus more on how do I take this advantage of this opportunity that I have and start getting goals, even if I don't get to stay in Chelsea. Maybe after this season, maybe another club will see my worth. So the focus should be becoming a better player, not trying to silence haters, because the more you're trying to answer people's questions, the more questions that are going to arise. And that's where the problem is. So maybe because he's trying to silence the critics, he's now putting more pressure on himself, and he's not going to be able to deliver on that note, because I'm mentioning him because he had one or two chances. Then for Willian is done. It's time to go back to Brazil. No, sorry, there's no discussion. Just go home. There's nothing more he can do. If you can't even take free kicks over Mount Mason, then what's the point? Right. You know, so Chelsea has a lot of problems, and I don't think it was fatigue at the end of the day. I think Lampard has done well enough to create chances, and I think to create a team that is playing expansive football, and I think eventually in one or two games it will get him results. But some individual players just need to be better.
I think they looked more active than Liverpool did the day before. Liverpool looked tired.
So they're playing good and expansive football. It will pay them eventually, but a few players like Tammy Abraham need to step
up. All right, let's take some comments.
Message from MI from Akoka says Frank Lampard has joined Shalai FC. Atleti showed no mercy to Barcelona team with no mercy. Valverde is doing the Lord's work. Moving on from Tega Tigers to celebrating the Tigers for winning the Afro Cup. Thank you very much, MI.
Thanks, MI. So Cruz says our national sports management needs deliverance. The right word is an R word that ends with Lucian, but I like my freedom. Tega, because I want to send an email to all the people in Barcelona so they can listen to your comment about their first match. Biko, pepper them where.
And then we have this one from Jacob. He says, good morning, guys. Jacob from Apapa. Lampard does not know the vehicle he just bought it. Selling a certain David Lewis is a mistake. Thank you very much, Cruz. And Jacob, rather. Biggie from Keto
says, I want to salute the Tigress. They came, they saw, they conquered. They won it undefeated. Barca need to reason with Tega. Without Messi, Barca will be in the sick bay. It's too bad, and the coach needs to be sacked. Chelsea needs to be up on the game. Who is their number 10? Where is Victor Moses, Tega? I'm not sure they are going to make top 4 this season. Up Gunners, courtesy of Mazi Alban.
Okay, where are you? Victor Moses is in Fenerbahce since.
Oh, Fenerbahce, okay.
Ken says, Up Gunners is rooting for them. And we have this one from Oyola. It says, kudos to Ndidi Hubert, the equalizer for Leicester.
Oh, yes.
Chelsea are playing like people who have eaten sour grapes and lack purpose and incentive. Reputation does not win matches, but performance.
Great stuff. All right, let's move on to some more stories. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer stands firm on Manchester United midfielder. This Ole Solskjaer has reiterated Paul Pogba will not leave Manchester United this summer, despite the France international saying there is a big question mark over his future. Now, ahead of today's trip to Wolves, very much anticipated game, the United manager fielded questions on Pogba and where he might end up. And here's what he had to say. You always put question marks around Paul, don't you? Well, Solskjaer asked this journalist. And then he said, I have got no concerns on Paul. For me, he's going to stay. There's not one press conference where I've not answered a question about Paul Pogba.
And then you will continue to answer. Because if the player is saying there's question mark on his stay, we will continue to ask the question. That's it's a big story. At the end of the day, Pogba is the player that he is. He was bought with for a big price tag, and so people are going to continue questioning if he's settled or not, because again, his attitude also determines the attitude of Manchester United in the midfield, whether you like it or you don't. So at the end of the day, get ready to answer this question to the end of the season, if he's still there till the end of the season. But here's what it is: the fact that they've managed to hold him down, they've managed to keep him, means, for one thing, at least they have him there. He's going to have to be professional, because he has said he will be professional and put out his best. Some players wouldn't. Some players will just lose interest, and it's not a question of them trying to deliberately sabotage you, but once they're not happy, they're not going to be delivering at 100%. But he's saying he's going to put his best foot forward. So let's watch out and see. Today's match against Wolves make it interesting, especially because of what Wolves did last season. It's the way they played the ball. It was beautiful. It wasn't defensive, sit back and soak in pressure. They also put you under pressure. They were especially when it came to counter-attacks, they were expansive on their football. They would stretch that defense. They had pace on the wings, lethal strike force in the middle, and they were really the spanner in the wheel. So they could throw some spanners in the works. So you don't want, that is the kind of team that you don't want to go against and have not come back with a result. So Manchester United, yes, we know what they did against Chelsea. It was not the best Manchester United, but they came out with a fantastic result, 4-0. But now it's a different kettle of fish entirely going to play against this Wolves side. And so people are going to continue asking whether the player's head is in the game. Because you need the head to be in the game consistently. And if the transfer window in Europe is closing in September 2nd, who knows? He may still be looking outside. They say the grass is greener on the other side. So he's going to continue looking till this season. But let's see how Manchester United navigates through this difficult trip that is called the Wolves, and then we'll take the rest of the season from there.
All right. Also says, regards. Did you notice that Lampard is not using Alonso? Victor says the way Tega is dissecting Chelsea's issues, she should do better than Lampard, to be frank.
I'm all for that. I agree.
This is point words there.
And then Aya says, please leave us and our David Luiz alone, no haters. He's now a true-blooded gunner.
Ade says, LOL, Chelsea FC, aka Banter FC. Very interesting. Shay says, well, I'll go. How about Chelsea, my Chelsea? Lampard is not the savior, savior of Ebamio. Tega, the Tigress are super. Senegal fought hard. Valentine, I hear the Tigresses are suffering in silence. They are in a hotel on credit. Our precious women. Sports ministry is a shame.
And by the way, today is World Humanitarian Day, and the focus is on women. That's so right. I hope that the noise will be loud. Tega, is there anything that we can do to put pressure on the government to treat our women better?
Apart from talk.
All right, well, talk we'll continue to do, and Lagos Talks 981 is up at 9 a.m. but we're not talking sports, we're talking politics, but hopefully we keep on talking too, keep driving our message home. But we've talked here enough on Locker Room 981 for today. So thank you so much, Tega, for coming. At Tega Supreme on Twitter, at LIS International, to find out the great work she's doing with ladies in sports. And stay tuned. Lagos Talks 981 at 9 a.m.
Oh God!
Every time I take over, I just put my hand on my head.
I have the worst flu.
Sorry, oh really? You don't sound like it.
Hey, didn't you hear my voice sounded like frog?